What you code with might matter more than you think. And today I really want to explain why. I have a lot of thoughts about this. And okay, so you might be wondering why this even is a video to begin with. Essentially, I want to bring this into awareness because sometimes it's really not talked about. If you're working at a company or, you just want to learn new things about coding with AI. If you're using Claude Code is really good at multi-hop stuff. Sometimes it can even one-shot projects. You just give it a PRD and it just completes it totally. And it has that 1 million context window the other third-party providers don't have. And you get so many tokens subsidized for you. This is my main driver of what I use. They're mainly the ones that ship novel harnesses. The competitor to this is Codex. They can ship pretty fast as well. The one that comes to mind is the programmatic tool calling. I don't think they're the ones that invented it, but they added support so quickly. One thing that really does stick out with these actual AI labs that train the models, when they actually develop a harness, a coding harness, they have insider information of how the model was trained, how the researcher's thought process went, what data that was trained on. They have all of this knowledge because they are the ones that actually train Claude. So ultimately their harness for Claude's going to be better. Multi-step and vertically integrated. You can think Apple making their own software for their own hardware here. And then the same logic applies with Codex. Codex is the product behind OpenAI. They have, not only are they really good at a coding harness, they are open source. So you can review the source code, all the system prompts, and everything. So if you were to choose Codex and Claude Code, you have just a model choice really, and a scaffolding preference. Sometimes I will use Codex for back-end work, and then I'll use Claude Code for front-end work. It really just depends. I'll have some review each other's code. The same logic applies. They have access to their own models and their own researchers, so they can provide really good harness integration with their models. Now, here's the one that I want to really rant on, is GitHub Copilot. Yeah, I know. Yes, this is in the question. You might be wondering why I'm even talking about this. There is a lot of enterprises that have engineers that might be a little bit older or still younger going in, but they were required to use GitHub Copilot. And ultimately, I think this is going to hold you back if you're using any type of third party, or especially GitHub Copilot command line. They're always going to be behind in features because they have more checks that they have to check off before they ship the product, and they don't have insider information about the model. So you're going to have this scenario where you're a little bit behind than the engineers that are using these. So if your company has mandated this, I would highly suggest you still use these tools on the side or something like that, because not using tools like this, you're not going to be up to date with all the information, all the really good tools. Ultimately, not using these tools, not using Codex or Claude Code, you're going to be behind. And that's the bad news here. You're going to have a scenario where you have a gap. If you're using a GitHub Copilot, you're going to be behind people using the latest shipped features that the actual model providers give you. Do with that information as you will, but that's just what I've experienced working at an enterprise and then working on my own on a startup and stuff like that. Most of the time, engineers in enterprise, they are usually 3 to 4 months behind everybody else using the tools. So, and my advice here would probably be, if your company does mandate something like this, just using GitHub Copilot, I would just leave. I would just completely leave that place, because my reasoning behind this is, if you end up leaving this company or they lay you off, you're going to be behind, and the companies that you will potentially get hired at in the future, they're going to probably expect you to know the up-to-date stuff. You will have a lot of catching up to do, and you're going to be behind, and only getting faster and faster as coding agents and they improve and whatnot. So that's my 2 cents. Put what you think in the comments, and yeah.